Hello, how are you? Welcome to our usual Monday live. Here we are again. Monday the 11th of April. So how are you? How is life treating you? As we just wait for the video feed to settle and just for a few people to come in, I just wanted to run through a couple of announcements with you just before I start reading the cards. Just to let you know, obviously Easter is coming up this weekend, and as such I'm going to take a few days off to recharge the batteries, and I hope you get the chance to do the same. So Rocks and Rituals will be closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So from Friday right through to Tuesday inclusive. So if you are sending messages, comments or whatever, I'll get back to you on Wednesday when I'm back in the office. Knowing me, I probably will get back to you before that, but I'm going to try and really keep my boundaries tight and practice what I preach and actually take some time off. What else do I need to tell you? I had to write these down because I forget. I have a handful of one-to-one client sessions left for the rest of this month, and May's diary is also really filling up, which is fantastic. Filling up with client appointments, but also filling up with a lot of other things, and that's part of what I'm going to talk about today. But if you do want a one-to-one session with me in person before the end of May, I would advise you to check the online booking system and get that booked in sooner rather than later. With that in mind, I am moving house at the beginning of June, and I will be moving into temporary accommodation for a little bit before moving into the house that we're buying. So as a result of that, things will be a little bit up in the air with regards to client appointments. So the majority of appointments in June will have to be by distance or remote sessions. If you have an appointment in June with me, I will be speaking to you about your options and giving you the option to either reschedule or to switch into a remote session. Obviously, it's entirely your call as to whatever works, but that's the beauty of Reiki and readings and coaching and all these things. They can all easily be done at distance, so you don't always have to be in the room with me, which is great when you're moving house and life is in boxes. What else do I need to tell you? Level 2 Reiki class in May is almost booked, so if you are a recent level 1 student or even not so recent level 1 student and are thinking of doing your level 2, I only have 2 spaces left now in that May class. The level 1 class in June is already fully booked, so the next available level 1 Reiki class is not going to be until September. So I would urge you just to get yourselves booked into these classes sooner rather than later. There's a level 3 Reiki Master course in the summer as well, so anybody who's level 2 or above, you can come along and join that level 3 Reiki Master Practitioner course, and I will have sent you details. If I haven't, or if you're interested, please do get in touch with me. What else is on my list? The Medicine Wheel, the Shamanic Practitioner course. I took a little break from teaching it this year because I was teaching other courses. However, the Medicine Wheel is coming back and will be available from September. Now, I know that sounds ages away. It's not. Look how quickly this year has flown already. We're at Easter. The first 100 days of this year have literally just passed in a blur. So it will be September before we know it. If shamanism or shamanic training is something that interests you in any shape or fashion, please do check out the event. It's on the page, so if you have a look, you'll see it. Or you can email me and I'll send you some details. It's also on the website. All the events are always on the website, so if you ever need information, you can always find it there. But the Shamanic Practitioner Medicine Wheel course will be starting again in September. Once the class enrolls, then there will be no further people being able to be taken on, so you need to register early if you want onto the course, because places will be strictly limited. And once the course starts, then it's a 10-month course running through to June, so I can't add anybody in once it starts. So do think about it, and if it's something that interests you, or you want to crack the door open a little bit into shamanism and shamanic practice and dig into that nature-based healing tradition that's one of the oldest traditions in the world, do get in touch with me and I'll send you full information and details of how you can get involved. I think that's all the announcements. So with that in mind, I thought that I would actually ask the cards a question this week, because life has got really, really busy. For me anyway, it's definitely got busy, and I know from speaking to people at one of my classes yesterday, they were saying that they have felt really under pressure. It's almost like we're, you know, in a race against ourselves. You know, we're constantly trying to run and trying to catch up and trying to keep going, and all this stuff is coming at us left, right and centre. I know personally I feel like I'm juggling so many plates at the moment, and I'm scared that something's going to come crashing down, and inevitably it will, if we don't take a breath and stop and pause. So the question I asked for guidance on today for myself, and I thought I would then share it with you guys, is how do we cope when life gets this busy? How do we still manage to keep going, but at the same time not feel completely overwhelmed, not feel completely burned out and stressed and emotional and ready just to completely crawl under a rock and hide until it's all over? So I used, this week I've used these lovely cards, the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms, because these cards always have a very uplifting message, and I think that's what we need right now. I did have the tarot cards in my hand, and I thought, do I use the tarot? Will I use these cards? And I decided to go for the oracle cards, just simply because of the nature of the question. I want a little bit of wisdom, as it says, from the hidden realms, so tuning into that beautiful spiritual support that we have all around us. So with that in mind, the first card that came up, the Chess Queen. So I'll show you the cards first of all. So we had the Chess Queen, the Arrow Master, which I know has come up before for us, and Gaia's Garden. So these are the three cards that we're going to talk about today. So the first one, the Chess Queen. I'll pop this up so you can have a look. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. Lovely artwork as always. This deck is by Colette Baron Reid. So it is, and there are lots of different illustrations from different artists in this. You can see all the information on the deck if you buy it. So the Chess Queen, trust and strategizing, it says. This card really speaks to me. I love to play chess. I don't have anybody that actually in the house that can play chess with me, so it's been a while. But I do, my dad taught me how to play chess when I was a little girl, and I always found it really fascinating, because you had to really think ahead. You had to think maybe 3 or 4 or 5 moves ahead of yourself, and also try and second guess what was coming in from the other player. And I find that was quite appropriate, because that's kind of where I find myself at the moment. The situation I'm in with my house move is that we're trying to juggle things and keep everybody happy, and keep, you know, trying to sort ourselves out, trying to manage the house that we're buying, trying to manage our temporary accommodation in the meantime, trying to manage our children, trying to second guess what everybody else wants or what may happen, because everything's still slightly just out of reach for the moment. It's not completely clear. So it's good that this card has come up, this Chess Queen, because in the game of chess you would have to strategize. You would have to try and understand or have a think about what moves might come your way, what things might happen, and then have a plan. So it's like having plan A, plan B, plan C. However, when you're constantly thinking like that, when you're constantly thinking about, well, what if, it's exhausting. It's mentally draining, mentally exhausting, emotionally draining as well. And I know that personally, I find that is a big drain on my energy when I'm constantly in the future thinking, what if? The Reiki principles tell us just for today, do not worry. That's one of the principles in the Reiki system. And when you're constantly thinking ahead of yourself, you are actually worrying in a certain way, because you don't know what's going to happen. So it's okay to have a broad view and to sort of have a look at life and what's coming, and sort of think, okay, I need to have a couple of plans in place, contingency plans. Obviously, taking it back to my situation, I'm moving house. The house we're buying won't be available for us to move into immediately by the time we have to leave this property that we're in. So we have a little window of having to be in a temporary accommodation. At this minute in time, we don't know the exact dates. However, we do need to know that we have a contingency plan. So we need to know that we have somewhere to go and that how long we may have that for, so that we can plan as best we are able to. That's where it needs to stop though, because if you start to then think, well, what if, and what if, and what if, and what if, you start to get really exhausted. So this Chess Queen card, yes, about strategizing, but then having to trust in the divine timing, trust that everything will fall into place exactly as it's meant to. Also thinking about whether your plan, your little plan, is in alignment with the bigger plan. If your little plan is in alignment with the bigger plan, then it will flow. If it's not, you will find that you come against shut doors, blockages. If it is in alignment with the bigger plan, the divine plan, your soul plan, then you will receive confirmation messages, you will receive guidance and support. You'll start to notice that support around you and life will start to flow. The difficulty is when life is so busy, we don't stop to notice. We don't stop and pause long enough to notice whether we're receiving those confirmation thumbs up signals or whether we're having doors slammed in our face. Because we just allow it all to overwhelm us. We allow it all to stress us out so much. So this card reminds us to take a breath, to absolutely look at the bigger picture and have a broad plan. But we don't need to nail down every individual little detail. We do need to just sit and see, is this in alignment with what's in my soul? That what's on my path from a spiritual point of view and in a divine timing point of view, is this right for me? Or am I trying to force the issue? Am I trying to force my intentions and my plans and make this happen when actually maybe it's not meant to be? So we need to take some time out. So one of the answers then to the question, how do we cope when life gets ridiculously busy and overwhelming? We need to take a breath. We need to stop. Now that feels really counterintuitive, to have to stop when life's really busy, because you think, I have to constantly be going. I have to constantly be going. And that brings me then to the next card, the Arrow Master. Now we've had this card before. This card's very much about setting your intention, detaching from the outcome and then letting the arrow fly. So it's a little bit like we go with the Chess Queen here and we work out our sort of, what is our plan? Is it in alignment with the bigger plan? Okay. Then we take aim with the Arrow Master. We draw back the arrow and we let it fly. We don't get in the way of the arrow. We don't try and push the arrow and tell it which way to go, because that would make it drop out of the sky. It would also injure us quite badly. You don't want to get in front of a moving arrow. So we need to let go of controlling how it actually unfolds. The other part of this as well is when someone is drawing, if you've ever watched someone take aim with an arrow, they draw back and they pause as they set their intention. So you can see them taking a moment of a breath and they're pulling back, pausing, looking directly at where they want the arrow to go, and then they let it go. They don't just go bang, bang, bang and throw these arrows off in all different directions. However, when we are busy, when we are really overwhelmed, we think that multitasking and doing lots of different things at once is the way to get through our to-do list. But let me tell you something, it's really not, okay? Because actually research has shown that every time you stop doing one task and start to flip to another task, you actually lose 10 minutes of concentration and focus. So for example, you could be working on a particular project. So you may be at work and you have something to do. So you're typing, you're working, whatever it is you're doing. Focusing on one thing and you get interrupted and you have to maybe speak to someone who's come to your desk, or you maybe have an email that's popped up that you feel you need to answer straight away, or the phone rings or something interrupts you. You deal with that and then you try and get your focus back into what it was you were doing. It takes about 10 minutes for your brain to readjust and get back into the same level of concentration that it was at before you were interrupted. So you think, look at your day, how many times do you do that to yourself? How many times do you interrupt yourself by doing 3 or 4 things at once, or trying to do 3 or 4 things at once? How many times are you interrupted by other people? How many times are you interrupted by your phone going ping, 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 ping? How many times in the day are you losing little 10-minute chunks? And I would say you're probably losing quite a lot. I have had to really set some really good boundaries when it comes to this, because I work from home. I've had to be very, very disciplined with starting work at a certain time and finishing work at a certain time and closing the doors. But I've also had to be disciplined through that working day. So it's very tempting to have all the tabs open at the top of your computer and have your email sitting in the background. And then you see it going, it pops up on your screen, little notifications that something's emailed you, or there's something to do. You've got your phone usually sitting beside you and it's pinging away as well. Somebody's texted you, somebody sent you a WhatsApp, somebody's private messaged you, somebody said something on Facebook and Facebook thinks it's a great idea to tell you, even though you know you don't really care. These strange notifications that come up nowadays. And all these things are little interruptions. What about if you actually maybe turn off those notifications? Only have one tab open at a time. Only set yourself a challenge to only check your email once in the morning, maybe once at lunchtime and once at the end of the day, instead of checking it constantly. Email is the biggest waste of time ever. Really is, because we get sucked into other people's priorities in our time rather than our own priorities. So this Reiki Master card, whilst it's really about letting go of the attachment to how something will unfold, it's also a reminder to pause, take a breath, and actually set things in motion that work so that you're not distracted, because the person firing this arrow is not distracted. They are setting their intention, they are letting the arrow fly. So are you? Are you letting your arrows fly straight, or are you trying to correct the course? The last card that came up then is Gaia's Garden, and this is all about the abundance and the total fruitfulness of life. And again, sometimes when we are stressed and overwhelmed, we start to think there isn't enough. There's not enough time. I can't do that. I'm too stressed. I'm too busy. I haven't got time. How many times in the last couple of weeks have you said the words, I don't have time? And then you manifest the fact that you don't have time. Gaia's Garden reminds us that there's a total abundance of everything we need, and that includes time. It's just about how we manage that time, how we set ourselves up for success by looking at what we can do today that will buy us time tomorrow, that will free us up a little bit, that by focusing, by actually taking a pause, taking a breath, having a think about what it is we actually want to achieve, getting clear on that vision, recognizing all the abundance that's around us that will help to bring that vision to a full harvest in due course once we plant those seeds. And just a reminder as well, when you plant the seeds, when you plant seeds in an actual garden, you're not in every 2 seconds checking to see what's happening with the seed, are you? You just let it grow. You water it. You let it grow. You don't be hooking in the soil looking to see what's happening with the seed. So this card reminds you of all that. Get clear on your intentions. Get clear on the vision for what it is you want. If you don't know what it is that you want or what would help you, you know, life gets busy and overwhelming because everybody else sometimes are throwing things at us. Are they things that you want to do? Are they things that are in alignment with your plan? If they're not, then why are you spending time doing them? Now that might kick up a whole set of shadow work that might need done as to why, you know, you let other people's demands be more important than yours. There may be a lot of limiting belief work that needs done there. There might be a lot of confidence work that needs done to build you up to be able to say, actually, no, I'm not doing that because this is my task for today. And I think we need to ask ourselves these questions. Hi, Lindsay. We need to ask ourselves these questions, because if we don't, then all of a sudden we find ourselves at the mercy of everybody else's schedule, and our schedule goes to pot. So, as I said, I asked the cards, how do we cope when life gets crazy busy and everything's coming our way? Well, firstly, we got the Chess Queen. So we have to trust that everything's unfolding exactly as it should, but we need to have a plan. So we need to know what it is that we want. We need to then visualize that and create it, but we don't need to focus on exactly how it's all going to fall into place. We then need to check in with ourselves, and that means taking some time to check in. Does this feel in alignment with what is right for my soul? Is this part of the divine higher plan for my life, or am I trying to force the issue and do stuff that's not really in alignment with who I am? Then we have the Arrow Master that comes along and says, okay, now you know what you're going for. You need to take a breath. You need to pull back the arrow, pause, focus, and then take action. Let the arrow fly, but then don't get in the way of the arrow. Okay? Don't get in the way and try and nudge the arrow the way you want it to go. Let the divine timing take the arrow. The arrow might need to go like that, and then get in to where it's going. It may not just go exactly the way you think it will go, because when we attach expectation to how we think something should unfold and it doesn't go that way, then that causes us a stress response. So we need to detach from the outcome. Okay? And then finally we need to trust that the seeds we are planting will come to full fruition without us having to constantly check what's happening with them. We need to check that we have check in with ourselves and notice what words we're using. I was working on this yesterday with my Shamanic class yesterday, about the weight of the words and the energetic vibration of the words we use. So when we say things like, I don't have time, or I'm so stressed, or I'm so tired, those are heavy. And then we start to manifest that heavier energy, which doesn't help us. So we need to pause, look at it and go, actually, there's an abundance of everything I need. And that includes time. I just need to maybe look at my boundaries. I need to look at where I'm losing time, where I'm maybe doing things that aren't in alignment with my soul, and where I need to take a breath, check in with myself and check in with my spirit support team. Remember, the cards this week have come from Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. So this is the nature spirits and the spiritual support that's all around you, constantly giving you little nudges and little pieces of advice. The question I ask you is, though, are you too busy to listen? So this week, why not challenge yourself to spend 5 minutes, just 5 minutes every morning, taking a breath and visualizing your day ahead going the way that it's meant to, looking at the bigger picture, taking a breath, checking in. Is what I have on the schedule for today actually what's in alignment with my soul? And then maybe take another 5 minutes at the end of the day and give thanks and be full of gratitude for the abundance in life that's all around us. And watch how that changes your life from being busy and overwhelming and everything coming at you, to you all of a sudden having the ability to breathe. Because when we slow down and we give ourselves permission to focus on one thing at a time, we multiply our time. We stop losing those little 10-minute chunks that I talked about earlier. And we actually then can stay in the moment rather than constantly thinking 10 steps ahead of ourselves, which is emotionally and spiritually draining. So let me know if that resonated with you. I know it certainly resonates with me, and it's advice that I also need to take. So I am going to do that. And I look forward to seeing in the comments anything that you have to say about the cards. Next week, it's Easter Monday, and I'll not be showing up live. However, I am going to pre-record and schedule the usual video, so it will be up at 1 o'clock on Monday as usual, along with a YouTube and blog post and everything else that you come to expect on a Monday. So don't worry about that, it'll all still be there for you. Have a fabulous week, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.